Hello.
Hello,
Hi,
world.
Gerald. Welcome.
Hello. You here?
I
Wow.
know, right? Well, it's nice to see you back in your natural habitat.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Europe. It's still Europe.
Well, usually you're at the conferences and hobnobbing with awesome developer crowds, but
Absolutely. I was in Copenhagen yesterday, so that was what we were talking about. NDC Copenhagen, I think it's technically Developer Festival. I don't know, something like that. It's kind of like a more open setting, kind of like more festival thing, open stages, which was fun. So, but now I'm back in my studio slash office where I cannot leave. This is where I do my work.
where
Microsoft
you
keeps me
cannot leave. Turns out there is a lock on the outside of your door. And so,
What?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you? What have you been doing? What have you been up to?
Oh, man. Yeah. What have I been up to? Well, summer is over. People are back
For
to
sure.
school.
For
My
sure.
wife's a teacher, so she's back to school. So that also means that germs are back in motion. Although I have not gotten sick, so I'm good. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've been building demos and apps. So I'll highlight some of the things that I've been working on recently because
Cool.
I think it's interesting and cool. I want people to know about it. But even more importantly, we've got RC1 out.
Yes.
And now we've also got a Visual Studio V Next. Are we calling it VS26? What are we calling it?
It's officially Visual Studio 2026.
Okay.
VNext, whatever. .NET MAUI, .NET 10 RC1, service release 11 for .NET 8, .NET 9. Sorry.
Ooh, yeah.
So all kinds of updates. iOS 26, not from us, but it's there too. We are still impacted by it.
We were impacted by. Well, maybe we'll talk a little bit about iOS-y things. I know that liquid glass is a
It's a thing.
hot topic because it's kind of melted, and so it's liquidy. Welcome everybody. I'm looking at the chat. We got South Africa, Canada, Orlando. Nice. Brazil, Germany, and of course, Netherlands and St. Louis, Missouri, famous for, I don't know, having an arch.
Yep. I've been there. I've seen it. Can you go through it? I think you can, right? I didn't do that.
You can go up. Yep. You can go up. It has these egg elevators that go like this.
Elevators?
And yeah, right.
Want to go in my head?
I think maybe 4 people fit in it at a time. So if you are claustrophobic, Lewis Arch is not for you, but it is actually a national park. Fun fact.
Oh, cool.
So when the government goes on strike, we don't go up in the arch.
Right.
Dominican Republic, Senegal, Ghana. Nice.
Wow.
I still need to get to Africa. That's one that I haven't done yet. one of a few continents that I've never been to. But hey, there's still time, right? Which actually is a good segue. Let me highlight a few other things that are happening globally that people should be aware of. Let me share my screen. By the way, I'm David Ortinau, product manager for .NET MAUI, and with me, my beautiful co-host.
Oh, thank you. Just turned 39 yesterday. Thank you.
You did? Oh, happy birthday. That's fantastic.
Congratulations. But thank you, yes. Gerald from the Netherlands, working remotely on the .NET team, specifically .NET MAUI, here at Microsoft.
Yeah, and you've been
There's me too. Did you see it? Did you miss it? On the website? Refresh it.
Oh, yeah. Were you there? So what I think is fantastic about this, well, first of all, what are we looking at? This is the Azure Dev Summit coming up here in October in Lisbon, Portugal. I want to say first of its kind, which is kind of why I think it's funny that we're showing all these videos and things that makes it look like it's happened before. But this is Techorama and NDC and Microsoft went and had a child, I guess. Did we lose Gerald? We lost Gerald. Oh, well, he was on the video. He said he was stepping on cables earlier. So this isn't the first time that we've lost Gerald or that I've lost Gerald today. But anyway, this Azure Dev Conference, it sounds cloudy, but hey, I'm presenting like 2 or 3 sessions on mobile and AI. So there'll be plenty of client talks as well. If you are interested and have not booked a ticket, It's going to be an amazing conference. As you can see, 2,000 plus developers, 500 plus companies, 100 plus speakers. And if you look at the speaker list and the agenda, I am certain you will find something interesting for you. I need to add Gerald because he doesn't have the power.
There's some loose connector around here.
Let's go.
I was trying to get my demo ready for in a little bit, but now I stepped on the cable again and you lost me. But I'm back. I'm not touching anything anymore.
That's right. Well, all you've missed was me covering the Azure Dev Summit.
Well, I heard you. You could just not see me.
So I will be there. Apparently, you will be there.
I will be there. I will do
they're
2
promoting
sessions.
you. They don't promote me on the thing. But then again, I didn't stand next to somebody, and there you are, in the wonderful outfit. Who was that? I know his name's
Lars Klint.
Lars.
I just saw him yesterday. Actually, he's from Denmark originally, but he lives in Australia since forever. He's now at Atlassian. Does some stuff with Azure. I don't really like him. It's fine. No, I'm kidding. He's a good friend of mine.
You like everybody. Here's another one that usually has your face on it somewhere. The Update Conference in Prague is coming up in November. And this is one that I also have never been to, but I think you've been to Update Conference before, yeah?
I've been there a couple of times. They have the Update Conference. They did one. They're doing one now in
Krakow.
Krakow 2 in, I don't know, a couple of months before that, August or something I want to say. So it's just been November's like their big conference. And they had a couple of focus days, one on Maui as well, which is already like 2 years ago now. But yeah, it's crazy. It's cool because we also have, like with Microsoft, we have a big office there. So usually there's a couple of people from the .NET team. Like we have our testing team is there, the .NET runtime team is there. So there's a couple of people. Actually, Marek is there.
Yeah, I just saw Marek on the screen.
So good crowd, lovely people, very open. It's a lovely conference. It's usually at the same time. I think they stream it or at least record it if you buy a ticket. It's not like open that everyone can access it, but it's usually at or around the same time as .NET Conf. So that's usually kind of like scheduling conflicts. But
yeah, our team is going to be having a meeting there coming up. That's right. So the reason I bring that up is because the Thursday night that we're going to be there, which is like the first Thursday in October, if I'm not mistaken, or the last Thursday in September, whichever that overlap is. I think it's the first in October.
Yeah, it's the first.
That evening, we may have something. So watch your socials, and we may have a little kind of informal meetup, get together, demo some stuff, talk, and some of the team. I can't promise who will be there. I will try to be there. But I'm announcing the possibility of a thing.
This is a teaser of the trailer of the announcement that maybe something
exactly. And this does bring up .NET Conf, right? So .NET Conf every year, November is when we ship the GA of .NET. Will be an all virtual conference, 3 days, 11, 12, 13. That's 3. I can count on my fingers. And so Beth Massey and Jeff Fritz and all of our favorite people are working on organizing the pieces and the parts. I know Beth has been helping with keynote related things. I am not going to a Teams meeting right now. I put it on Do Not Disturb. What's the deal? They really want me in that meeting. And so it's going to be a great conference, unlike any that you've ever seen before, because no two can be alike. And this will be a really, really good one. So mark your calendars for that, November 11th to the 13th. You probably already have, because that's why you're here on a .NET related community stand-up.
There you go.
I have not yet dropped. By the way, if you're trying to watch this on Twitch, looks like there's a problem. And if you're trying to watch it on Twitch, you probably can't hear me say that. However, if you know somebody who is sitting there trying to refresh Twitch, you can invite them over here to YouTube. And so I've been setting up new layers on my keyboard, and so I'm still not that link. Dang it. Still getting the muscle memory down, and it's not quite there yet. URL list for the stuff that we're going to talk about today. There it is in the chat. And I have a banner. So let me put the banner on the screen. Look at that.
Boom. Banner.
Cool. All right. Let's dive into some cool announcements. I'll go over some community things first. This guy, David, but it's not just David anymore. Look at this. We have contributors to the debug overlay. So Van Craster has been contributing some things. This is actually something that was noticed on the Discord, the Mauiverse Discord. Is it Mauiverse or Maui Universe?
Yep. Nope. Mauiverse.
You should probably put that. And then Radu Bogdan Claudiu has also been involved in contributing. So I think works with Van Craster, and it's like a duo from what I've noticed. But noticed that they were doing something where they were doing like a frames per second. Let me see if we've got. I don't think we have an updated graphic. That's weak. We need updated graphics. Let me see if I can. Where is my what do you call that thing? A simulator?
Gonna do it updated right now. I don't see the simulator.
What happened to it?
That
is crazy. Well, let's do this. I will come back to it. And I will talk about something else first. I don't remember why I had Sync Fusion opened. Oh, I know why. What we're doing here, and there is a link which I will drop in the chat, but it's also in the URL list. Sign up. Here's what's happening. Webinar on September 18th. I am going to be presenting on MAUI and Sync Fusion kind of vNext controls. We'll be doing some demoing of .NET 10 things, of course, as well as looking at how we can take apps to the next level with Sync Fusion's new teaser offering. So cool. Come check that out. It'll be a community thing, but focused on Sync Fusion stuff. Sign up for it. We'll have a good time. They call them webinars. I don't know. Like webinar seems to be like an older term. I should talk to him about that. We should call them, I don't know, live streams or something.
Exactly. This is a webinar, but
we're hosting a webinar right now, everybody. Maybe the webinar thing is like you need to sign up for it, kind of a situation.
That might be it. That might be it.
MAUI Reactor. Hopefully everybody has seen this blog post. It's gotten some love. Look at the beautiful emojis and reactions and some comments. This is a guest blog post from Adolfo. Ado, I think is the nickname, based in Italy, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly. Tons of samples here. And so what's really cool about this is if you originally saw Comet and you were like, this is the way that I want to build apps, or you are a React Native developer or a Flutter, you really like that fluent syntax Swift UI-esque, then this is something you should look at. So it is MVU inspired. It's not a pure Elm MVU per se, but you will see some very nice fluent syntax. And I have been using this. I am definitely a fan. I give it my stamp of approval for what that's worth.
Oh, there we go.
And yeah, so it can be really, really nice. And so there's some examples in this blog post comparing it to React Native, what these same UIs might look like. You can see a real world example. This is a fishery / kind of a wildlife organization here in the US that is a customer of his. And so he's built it, and the speed, the performance is great. I mean, this is more of a business looking app, of course. But if you look at the, the slide at the very beginning here, the image, lots of beautiful things that you can do with MAUI Reactor as well. And really, under the hood, it is all just MAUI. I have noticed in my experience that my apps feel snappier and start up faster.
So I know the thing about Comet is that it went kind of like a level deeper than our XAML stuff, right? Yeah. So it just really put our XAML stuff aside. I love it, but go away. We're doing MVU now. Is that the same for this? Or is it kind of like built on top of the top layer there?
So this is still wrapping. Right. Yeah. So this is at the higher layer. So it is wrapping MAUI controls, not the core controls.
Right.
So if you're not, those watching, familiar with the architecture of MAUI, there is a inner layer, an inner core, why we call it core, right? Of control APIs that can be used directly, and you could just completely get rid of the MAUI concepts of things that are baked into controls, data binding related things and whatnot. So, but that's kind of a lower level concept, not
Right.
something that many of us would bother with.
No, right, because like this is super nice, right? I should look into this more, but we have of course oh, the name escapes me, the C# for markup extensions in
C#
the
for markup, yeah.
toolkit, which different dialect then in this case. And that's why I asked, like Comet, like I said, like that really goes a layer deeper and also pushes out the MVVM stuff and really goes with MVU.
Yes.
So this is kind of like, you get the syntax, but not, and it feels snappier, right? So that's good. It definitely brings more to the table than just a nice syntax, I'm sure. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
So
and it's a bit more
different.
opinionated than C# markup if we're like comparing the two. So C# markup is going to be better suited, especially if you're doing MVVM. So data binding concepts are going to be the same. But what you get with MAUI Reactor is like some sugar where you don't have to
Right.
type out horizontal stack layout. You can just do
Right.
HStack.
Okay.
Stuff like that. And everything is a method, basically. Everything's a method. And if you don't see a fluent method for the thing you're trying to do, you just use the .set method, and then you have direct access to the underlying API.
Cool.
So it's a rather thorough blog post. So please do check it out. Let's see, what else did I want to call attention to before we get into kind of the bigger announcements? Oh, got to toot my horn again. Sorry.
This one's so cool.
Yeah. So there are things in particular on iOS that require Swift UI. WatchOS is one of those things these days. Widgets and live activities are another. And so we do not have direct C# access to those things, but you can still use them. So, on the spectrum of easy to hard and from being able to do everything in C# to being able to do everything on the platform, this is definitely on this end of this. You can't see my hands. It's definitely on this end of the spectrum. I'm doing hand gestures.
Wait,
and I'm like, oh, wait a second.
That's left. So is that not, is left good?
Up. Or on this end I'm trying to talk with my hands, but my video is all the way over there, so that's why my head keeps doing this. Right. I'm being cognizant of the fact that the audience is more here. So what is cool with this is that I don't really have a video of it here, but essentially I can build the live activity and the widget that runs in the dynamic island at the top. And as you can see here on the lock screen, so it appears the lock screen space, and it also appears here at the dynamic island.
What I was wondering when I saw that,
yeah,
I don't want to put you on the spot.
No,
like you have the nice UI with like, hey, update. Typically, of course, is like it updates in the background. Do you have any kind of like idea how that would work?
Yeah, so like any other background process, you can totally do that. And the way in which the .NET MAUI app talks to it is over essentially an XC framework .NET to Swift bridge.
Right.
Okay. And that is in here. So if we look at the code, I don't know how gnarly this is going to look. It's not too bad. Let me trim this down a little bit. Models. Whoa, hello, close. What are all you? What is all of this? This isn't even the right sample. Live activity demo. This is the one. And we're not looking at Android at all. We're looking at iOS things. So yeah, so there's this XC framework that gets built from Xcode. So there is some Xcode things that you need to do here. But hey, I remember when I first was doing iOS and .NET development,
yeah, for sure.
My world was Xcode was open and Xamarin Studio / Visual Studio for Mac was open.
Yep.
Like it was just the world that you lived in, and you would go to one and do some things. Maybe you were doing some storyboard stuff or some nib stuff, but the same kind of thing. So you will build this stuff, build the artifacts in Xcode, make sure that they're placed in the right position in the .NET land. And if you're doing actual storyboard and nib stuff, by the way, we do have an XC sync or no Xcode sync utility that you can run from the command line that will sync your Xcode project and your .NET project. If you don't remember this, Mike built that for us. It used to be part of Visual Studio for Mac, and then we harvested it.
Right.
Yeah, so their actual, let's minimize. Why does this stuff start so big? All right, so here's all the Xcode stuff. It's in the native folder of this sample. And if we close down that and then that's just the app host is basically just a Xcode iPhone project. We're not actually going to run it. We just need something to host the extension so we can build the artifacts. So that's what that is. And then the widget, so you end up with Swift, right?
I see Alan in the chat. Alan, thank you for joining. Alan.
Any .NET
Ritchie.
Swift interop in the future? Yes, there is .NET Swift interop in the future, but we do not have anything to show or announce at this time. Essentially, the status of that project and what Alan's asking for essentially is, can we just write C# that interacts with Swift only APIs? That's like the first step, and then beyond that would be Swift UI. It's actually really a separate piece. And so where we got to with that in the past sprints was the ability to do one framework. And you start with one, right? Like that's you got to get one done, and then we'll need to be able to extend that to other things. And so we're looking at the next .NET 11 phase of planning and saying, okay, when and how and who kind of stuff. So it is definitely high on the list to be able to do that. All right, we're almost halfway through. Let's see, what else should I cover here? Anyway, if you want to check out this sample and run it yourself, just make sure that you update, it's Apple, right? So you got to have the right bundle IDs and you got to have the right certificates. So go to the places where you see the bundle IDs and make sure that they reflect yours, not mine. That's probably something to get cleaned up in the sample, is to turn all the Simply Profounds into company name. Somewhere, somebody owns.
You're just going to be the
company name.
Yeah, you're just going to be the new what is it, Contoso, something like that.
Oh gosh, wouldn't that be funny? Wouldn't that be hilarious? Okay, a couple other cool things. Our dear friend Rachel Kong was at NDC Copenhagen, no, Oslo. And this actually only got posted 9 days ago. So it is still fresh news, even though the presentation was from May, basically Build. She wasn't at Microsoft Build because she chose Oslo over us, basically is what happened. But the trade-off was, Gerald, you got to come to Microsoft Build.
Thank you, Rachel.
So thank you, Rachel. But anyway, go check out this great presentation from Rachel. And then tomorrow in 19 hours, are you planning on sleeping before this?
Maybe, who needs sleep? It's overrated.
If you don't get enough of Gerald today, you can see Gerald and Pedro Jesus tomorrow doing a deep dive, I would imagine. How long is this going to be? Yeah.
As long as we can kind of go for. This is going to be like 3 p.m. my time, so at least an hour, maybe a little bit more. You see it popping up all over the place. We're going to talk about it a little bit more, I guess, right now. Visual Studio 2026 has been out. It's been amazing. And there's been a whole bunch of people from different angles. Mats Christensen has been all over the place, of course. Like, he's known for Visual Studio, of course, and all the other amazing people that work on this product have been on podcasts, live streams, videos, all over the place, being like, hey, Visual Studio 2026 is here. So tomorrow, me and Pedro, like I said, 3 p.m. Amsterdam time. I don't know what that is anywhere else in the world. But yeah, we're going to talk about Visual Studio 2026, what that means for MAUI.
You keep talking about this. I'll be right back. My doorbell rang.
Okay. I can't scroll, so I have to keep doing with this. But yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about hey, what is all new, hip and happening with Visual Studio 2026? Honestly, for MAUI, there's nothing really new. We've improved stuff. We've fixed bugs, absolutely, for sure. I don't think from the top of my head, I should ask David, there's anything really new on that side that we have to bring you right now. But this opens the door for the future, of course, to add new things. I'm coming to an end here. Does anyone have any questions? David, where are you? So no, has anyone in the chat? We have a couple of people in the chat. Hey, Tony, nice to see you here too. Has anyone installed Visual Studio 2026 yet? Because you absolutely should. I've been working on it with it for a good while, and it's super fast. I don't know what your experience is, David, but I don't know how they did it. A lot of people are asking, is this finally running on .NET Core? We're not supposed to call it .NET Core anymore. Is it running on .NET Core? I think it still runs on .NET Framework.
It does, yes.
Super much faster than it was before. So I don't know how they did it.
Well, I can tell you how they did it.
Well, thank you. Great.
So I'm pretty sure this is, can I say? Yeah, I mean, so essentially there are some pieces of it that got faster because we took what we learned and what we had made faster in .NET and brought it back to framework. And some things got brought out of, I don't know, out of processes probably isn't the right way to say it, but basically like created a library, harvested it, and then made it available to framework so that we could use it here with Visual Studio, which is still a .NET Framework application. So generally speaking, that's where a lot of wins came from, was bringing code back.
Right. And while you were, I don't know what you were doing.
They're trying to cut my internet right now. The guy's like, because I just got fiber, and now they need to bury the cable, right? He's like, but I need to disconnect your service, and I'm like, well, I'm kind of in the middle of something.
You can join.
You come back
if you're not doing anything. But while you were gone, I was talking a little bit. I like everything is faster. Everything we fix bugs, but there's nothing revolutionary new for MAUI right now, right? Other than what's also available in 2022 right now, live previews, property inspectors. We got all kinds of cool things that you've maybe not even seen before. But nothing really new got added for us right now, right?
Nothing new got added. Probably the things people are going to notice are more of the things that got removed. So you may be aware Xamarin is no longer supported. And so it made no sense to continue bringing that legacy code forward. And so there are things that were Xamarin only, and or just not really part of the MAUI experience anymore. And we are, laser focused on doing the best experience for developers and customers that we can. And so there are some things that were very low usage. So it's like the burden of keeping them around was not good. I think we're all developers here, right? So you like deleting things, we like deleting things. We deleted some things. All right, one more thing so I can stop sharing maybe, or we can at least start moving on to some .NET things. Hey, RC1's out. And if you didn't know, RC1 comes with a Go Live support license. Woo-hoo. I don't know. If I click on that, where does that go? Oh, interesting. So it just goes to the overall support page. Go Live, I think, just means it's supported, right? So feel free to take confidently your applications on RC1 to production, because you're going to be supported. You file a big old nasty gnarly issue, it's going to get looked at and serviced. And the API isn't going to fall out from underneath you.
No, that's the biggest thing, right? Like the API should be, there can be exceptions, should be nailed down by now. No big major changes. So this is going to be it, right?
So it looks like we got some new cryptography stuff here. Rahul, I'm not coming to the tactics meeting, bro. It's not happening.
Stop.
Yeah, some ASP.core. Oh, look at this, some MAUI things. So we got some diagnostics and metrics tracking. I don't know. Did you look at the release notes?
I'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay, you will. Okay, good. Because honestly, sometimes when I put some of these really cool looking things in the release notes, I'm like, I sure hope somebody reviewed me, because just because Matthew put a screenshot in a release note doesn't mean that you all won't be talking about it yet. We got hybrid web view events, some new things that Matthew got in there. The refresh view is refresh enabled. I actually, when I looked at this one, I was like, what's the big deal? And then I realized from reading it, I'm like, actually, that makes sense. Like
Makes
we
sense.
need an is enabled and an is refresh enabled. They're different
And I
things.
think that is what you will see if you've not been looking into .NET 10 yet for .NET MAUI and in general, but specifically for .NET MAUI. You'll be happily surprised with a lot of things that might have been bugging you since Xamarin Days. That we were finally able to be like, we're just gonna get rid of this for you now, or not get rid of it. So we got rid of a few things too, but we also added some things. Like me personally, I've been working on media picker improvements.
Yeah.
I think this refresh view is refresh enables is one of those things that we're just lingering around, easiest to implement, something that you can do. We are open to contributions, but just a couple of those little things that we now had time to kind of like pick up, implement, and you'll be happy to see a couple of things pop up here in that area.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the list of things on the what's new in .NET MAUI for .NET 10. It's a ton of stuff. And like controls, sure, but like all these controls got some love, which is fantastic. Now, one thing I will show, and then I'll stop sharing my screen. So Gerald, be ready.
Woo!
Is that we've got XAML source generator. It was introduced, I think, in the last release, and maybe it was hiding in previous releases. But it is better in RC1 and will be better still in RC2. And one of the cool things in addition to this is the XAML global and implicit namespaces. So I do have an app back here I want to show you. If you have used XAML source gen previously, you may have to change how you enabled it. So you might have done something up here, like I don't know, it was one of these attributes, right, that you would put up here
Yeah,
at the top of your class.
assembly,
Assembly, something, blah blah blah.
basically the same thing that you're now showing in the CS project, but then in kind of like an attribute C# code form.
Yeah. So a couple of things I'm doing here. I have the MAUI XAML inflator turned on for source gen. I am also emitting the generated files so that I can set breakpoints in them and see them. And if you're wondering, okay, you've now turned XAML to C# and you've emitted the generated files, where can I find them? Right down here, obj, debug. Let's see, I think I built last for Catalyst. And then you have generated. And then in generated, you've got all the different bits that got generated, including your MAUI controls. And so these are the pages. The XSG are the ones that you pretty much want to be looking at if you really want to get in here. And it's not the easiest stuff in the world to read, but I was able to find the things I was looking for, because what I noticed is that when I ran the application, some of my padding got stripped off. And it turns out that there's a fix that was needed, which I think is ready for RC2 now, where on ADM and on platform were not code genning, I guess, the way in which they needed to. Yeah. And so that's coming as a fix. But yeah,
I mean,
you can go through all
that's
this.
literally what we do, right? Like code generation. So what we're doing now is in the process of like looking at pieces of XAML and say like, oh, this should generate into this equivalent of C# code, which
Right.
has a big number of advantages. One, I think maybe the biggest one is XAML. If you go look at the specifics, is a very runtime thing, right? So your debug and your release build might be very different because XAML doesn't always have like a tight coupling with concrete what is in code. So the .NET compiler will be like, oh, this thing is not used. Let's just strip it out. And now suddenly in release mode, your app is going to crash and you don't know why because there's no great error message coming from that. So now we're taking everything to code for you. Now everything's in code too, and your debug version will be much more the exact same, much more matching with your release mode. So we don't have that. It will be faster. I think you've noticed kind of like a performance
I
improvement there,
have,
right?
yeah.
We still have, you saw all the cryptic syntax in there with like, hey, line something something. So whenever something does kind of like break or whatever, or you mess up your XAML, that's it. It's not us, it's you. Then you will get like an error, and we will link you back to the line in XAML, right, and not bring you to that sometimes cryptic C# code, because we have to use like full namespaces to not get into trouble with namespace collisions and that kind of stuff. So the code is kind of verbose that we generate, which doesn't really matter. The compiler doesn't care. the code looking nice is just something for us humans. So, you know, we will bring you to the right place in XAML and say, like, there's something wrong here, and you just have to fix that, and don't worry about all the code that's generated.
Right. Yeah, I mean, this definitely just, and I have done measurements. We have done measurements as well on like just the navigation speed. And I know I'm doing this on Catalyst, so it's a little different. But as a debug build, that's snappy.
Yep.
Snappier than it has been, right? And so I love that. That is great. Saves me a bunch of time and makes me feel more confident that my app isn't going to be slow turtle when I ship it to my actual device in production. Now, last things that I'll highlight here, something that I did is that I went down here into _usings.cs. This is a convention I like. If you actually ship the new template, you get a file that's called global usings.cs and then XAML global.cs or something.
Global
And
XMLNS? I don't know.
and they're two
Like
separate files. I would like to propose here, live on the .NET MAUI Community Standup,
vote. Click your vote button.
that they are the same file. Like, why do they need to be separate files, yo? Why? Why are we cluttering it up? And why does it have to be such a long name? Like _usings, _imports. Like, isn't that not a convention in Blazorland? Anybody in the chat confirm me on that? Like, I feel like we're making this harder than it needs to be. My little, I'm cheating by going to mom and dad at the same time and saying, can Gerald and I go out and play?
Personally, I'm not a big fan of the underscore here. But otherwise, for the concept, just having it in one
Why?
file.
Why?
Absolutely.
Who
I
hurt
don't
you?
know. It just the underscores picked on me when I was little. No, it just looks wrong. Like, you have all these capitals in there in the list. I know it's probably because it shows now, you know, on top of that list. But you'll have the underscore, which looks funny, and then you have like a lowercase letter. Like, I don't know.
All
It
right.
looks weird.
Well, you know,
That's the only concession I would ask for.
Here's
But otherwise,
why I like the
I'm on
underscore,
board.
because it always puts it at the top of the list.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I
said
know
that.
where it is.
Yeah.
That's why I use it. Yeah, George, we're not friends anymore. Sorry, buddy. So here's the thing, though, and you don't have to write all this stuff. So all I've done when I did this to get rid of my what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Let me back up a second. Because typically, oh gosh, keyboard, hello. Typically, you have a bunch of this, right, in your files, all your prefixes so that you can reference your namespaces and all your special things. And then you need to actually use them like this. Well, I don't need to do that if I have declared it globally. So like typically you would have seen some kind of a prefix on this sync fusion control because it's not part of, you know, the project. I mean, it is, but it's not, right? So back here in the usings, that is done down here. So that pull to refresh control, I think is what that was, right? It's being packed into a global namespace. So that's the other thing to note. If we go back here, is that my XMLNS is no longer just a basic MAUI global namespace. It's an actual global namespace, which is specific to this project. And so that's the namespace that everything's getting packed into. And I can do that with all of my controls and thus clean up my XAML. It's less verbose. I think it's prettier. And I don't have to write all this stuff. You know, all I got to do, click this button right here. Everybody knows this button, right? This button. And then I go, hey, you got to do this, these XMLNS prefixes. Take care of this for me. Put them in this usings file, and it'll rip through all of my code. It'll get probably 80% of it because it's lazy. And then it'll probably do 2 or 3 things you didn't ask it to do. And then you go back and fix those things, right? This is the new world of how we operate as developers. All right. So I'm hype on this stuff. Very cool. Gonna get better with RC2. I'm done. It's now Gerald, you gotta take over.
All right. I've shared my screen, so go ahead. Boom! Visual Studio 2026 talking about
That's
snappy.
too small.
I know it. You're gonna have to live with it. I'm sorry. I don't think we can zoom this. That's the feature that we didn't get in 2026. I can zoom with my Windows things a little bit.
No, you're fine. You just keep going.
So Visual Studio Insiders, I think we also, I'm not completely up to date with all the details on this. I'm not on the Visual Studio team, but I think we also changed some things with like the naming and how we're going to do releases. So definitely look into that if that's of interest to you. But I think we're now calling it like Visual Studio Insiders, which is probably more in line with the like, Visual Studio Code and Visual Studio Code Insiders. So you can install it side by side. I have like, I don't know, 5 different instances installed next to each other, as much as my file system file size will allow. But yeah, here you go. Then you get like the nice what's new screen. I think that's also in Visual Studio 2022, but now, of course, with all the new stuff for 2026. So all kinds of cool things. We're bringing, of course, .NET 10 right into here. So you've got that right in here. And just overall, this is honestly like the biggest feature for me. It just feels so much snappier and faster. It has a nice fresh look. I know how people are usually with like, it all looks new. This is horrible. Give it back. I'll admit there was like the context menus where we did all capitals. That was not great. I'll admit that. But this one, it's fine. And I think this is super close to the new themes that we already had in Visual Studio 2022 already, right? So maybe you already switched that on, and this is like the exact same. You have 11 themes. There you go. See, I think you can go to Tools. Where are we? Theme. All these bubble gum, cool breeze, cool slate. They have like silky pink. Who doesn't want that? Spicy red. Amazing. Do it. And I think you have then light and dark for all these themes too, and high contrast and whatever. So super cool. Got all that. But what is, we did actually add something new for .NET MAUI, a little bit for MAUI, a little bit for Aspire, that we added in Visual Studio 2026, which is that you now have the options to kind of like have your MAUI app, and you can just right click it. I have a sample MAUI app right here. I'll go over the rest of the projects too, but I have this is my MAUI program, my MAUI project right here. And you can right click it, and you can now say add, and then do add and list it in Aspire orchestration support. You can just add it from right here, and it will add the Aspire orchestration support just as it would for all the other projects that you're used to and already working with Aspire. Let me know in the chat. Are you working with Aspire yet? Are you looking to use that in your MAUI apps? Because that's kind of like what we're still investigating and implementing for .NET 10, Visual Studio 2026, all that stuff. Same if you're going to do a new MAUI app right now. So if you do like create project, file new MAUI project, takes a little bit to load. Is it also for the Blazor Hybrid app? I think there might be a bug here. Oh, no, it's here. So cool. I think it's for another template. There's a bug where it doesn't show up. But here you can see like, hey, whenever you do a file new MAUI app, and you select .NET 10, right? It's not there for .NET 9. If you select .NET 10, you can say, hey, and list it in my .NET Aspire orchestration, and you can select a version, and you will be all set up with this. Now we're working through this. You can get it to work. It's all in the release notes. It's all documented how you should do this. But then, if you want to do this, you'll run into the problem of like, hey, I run my .NET MAUI app on an emulator, probably, right? You're using the Android emulator or the iOS emulator. So whenever you do localhost, it's going to go to your Android emulator, and you can never reach kind of like your web API or the telemetry things that we need to send things to for Aspire, right? So that's not great. So what you want to do then to kind of like get around that is use a Visual Studio Dev Tunnel. Now that has been around for a while, and you can just set that up as kind of like proxying a remote address to your local machine. So right now you have to set it up manually. Someone asked earlier in the chat, like, hey, is there something cool coming for Aspire? I'm sure they have a ton of cool stuff coming. They have like their own live streams. I think on Fridays they have the Aspire Friday. I don't know how to pronounce it, Aspire Friday. But they have a live stream tomorrow. They have a bunch of content. So go watch that. But one of the things that I know that they're working on is direct support for dev tunnels. So that's coming. They have an open PR for that now. So this will get easier. But just to show you how to get started today, you can set up a dev tunnel manually, and you can say, hey, do anonymous access, else you have to log in, because now you're going to expose your local machine to the internet, right? So maybe not great. You have to be careful with that. So you can enable login, but you can also allow anonymous. You can say which protocol, and then which ports you will kind of like want to make available, right? And then whenever you do that, whenever you actually did log in and not mess it up like I did right here, and then you unplug your microphone and kill your live stream, that kind of stuff, then you will get URLs for each port, right? So you get this. And that's like each URL. But you also have like the generic URL or the generic identifier. This is the unique identifier for your dev tunnel. So you copy that, you take that to your app host project in the launch settings right here that set your environment variables. There's a couple already set up. Don't touch those. Just add this dev tunnel underscore ID. See, underscore somewhere in a variable, fine. At the beginning of a file, not great. He's paying attention. Good. You put that dev tunnel ID in there, and then it knows how to reach that dev tunnel. So now you're telling like, hey, whenever I load this MAUI app up, it's going to, that's how Aspire works. If you know a little bit about that, it does a lot with environment variables. It's going to replace a bunch of stuff for you. So it's going to replace all these local host things and also the services that you hook up to your .NET MAUI app with this dev tunnel, and then it can suddenly connect and it all comes together and you can show all the cool things in your .NET MAUI app. So whenever you do that, like we don't have enough time to go over this in detail. I'll go over tomorrow with Pedro as well, so maybe we have a little bit more time there. Make sure to go to my channel and find it there. But what you can do, like, hey, you have to make references between all these projects, which is super easy to do with the enlisted Aspire orchestration. And then whenever you do in your MAUI program, what you can do is say, hey, add service defaults, right? So that's something that you need to do to hook up your Aspire orchestration. You set up all the defaults for all the services. You can play with that because it's just another code project that you have in here. It's coming from this extensions thing right here. You can ignore this for now. This is a little debugging that I had going on for right here. But then if we go all the way down, you will have that add service defaults. It's the defaults, right? You will get this if you do the enlisted Aspire orchestration, but you can play with this. It's just in your code base. If you don't want open telemetry, that would be a shame because that's one of the biggest values in here, but you can disable it, right? Service discovery, don't do it. I have a little bit of code by default here. Disable the dev search security check, which is something that you sometimes need for developing mobile apps and connecting that to your local services. So we have a little helper method for you there. It should be in our production version. There should be a little tag on there that helps you to only enable this in debug, so you don't have this ending up in your production version because that's not what you want. All kinds of helpers, you can influence that. And then what you can do is start wiring up your HTTP clients. So in this case, I have a little sample app, the famous sample of like getting the weather forecast. You register an HTTP client for this weather API client, pass in the client, and you say, hey, this base address is https.http web API. Seems weird, but okay. And this is kind of like your identifier that Aspire is going to replace for you so that you can easily connect to it from your .NET MAUI app. And it doesn't matter where it is. You don't have to juggle with like the endpoints. Is it hosted remotely? Is it hosted locally? That will all be figured out through the Aspire orchestration, right? So if you go to the Aspire app host right here, again, it's a little bit small, maybe some parts here, but I hope you can figure it out. So it's here on the right, the app host project. And then you go into the program CS for that thing. Again, a little bit of debug code, so ignore that. But what you can do is like you have your code representation of your whole application landscape here. For your .NET MAUI app, it's typically simple, right? But it still can bring you a lot of value. Typically, it's your MAUI app and a backend, right? That's kind of like the core base of a MAUI app, I would say. It can be much more complex. You can all do that in here. But this is like the basic setup that I have. So you have that builder. You can say builder, add project, my sample web API, which is just a file new web API project, ASP.NET, nothing fancy. And then I can say MAUI app, add project, my MAUI app, right? That's just a file new .NET MAUI application. And here you can see that same identifier, right? So we have that web API, and this is the address that it's referring to. So whatever the endpoint is going to be for this project will be picked up automatically by the service discovery and then passed down to your MAUI app because we're saying with reference web API, which is this thing. So now suddenly in code here for this Aspire orchestration, we have a reference between our MAUI app and our web API, and they know how to find each other. Bing. So then with the dev tunnel in place, it also automatically goes through like, hey, we don't need to use localhost, blah, blah, blah. And whenever Aspire gets like their dev tunnel support, this is what it's going to look like in their API form. You can also have the dev tunnel say with dev tunnel support, and it should automatically figure that out and set that up for you as well. So you don't even have to worry about that too. Cool. What else we got here? Then how does it know? That's kind of like the caveat right now. All of this is built in Visual Studio on Windows mostly. I'm definitely looking into making this, of course, more also in VS Code, also for the CLI, making it work everywhere. But we are kind of like, still investigating what is a good way to kind of like connect all this. So right now, the experience is going to be in Visual Studio 2026. Maybe by the time that we have .NET 10 GA, I have figured it out and we'll do that. But for now, if you want to get started today, this is where you want to be. And then you can here say, you see that HTTPS thing, right? Because we set that app host as a starter project. And that is typically geared towards like web applications. But now we have a MAUI application. So go into your run menu right here, and you will see that you can also select the target for your MAUI app. Even though your starter project, you can see it's in bold here, is that app host project, right? But we can still select our MAUI target right here. So you can do Windows, Android. Windows is a lot easier. You don't even need a dev tunnel because it's all running on localhost, so that should work. But for Android, you definitely want to have that dev tunnel running. So let's do it on Android. And if we then just start the whole thing, it's going to start up the Aspire dashboard. It's going to start up my web API. And it knows the order to do things because, again, we have this code reference between my MAUI app and my web API. So it knows like, hey, it's dependent on this web API. So I'm going to start that first, then start the MAUI app. And we're going to do all of that together. We're not going to log in right now. Don't need that. Go away. And we get all of that here, my browser. Aspire dashboard coming up. Zoom, zoom, zoom. You can see my MAUI app is enlisted in here, my web API with the endpoints. .NET MAUI app doesn't have an endpoint, so we don't need that. If you get the dev tunnel support, it shows the dev tunnel URLs in there. So pretty cool. And then we can go to metrics. We can see, hey, MAUI app, web API. I can see the metrics from my MAUI app right here. I can see how many HP clients I have. I can see my garbage collections here from the .NET runtime. And I think as you kind of like progress through your .NET MAUI app, more stuff will come in here because some things will emit metrics as they go. But you can inspect all these things here for your MAUI app, just as you're used to if you're already working with Aspire. One other cool thing is you can see the traces, so the requests going back and forth. So my MAUI app should have loaded by now too. Just a sample app, but it's hooked up that whenever you click the button, it doesn't increment, but it goes to get my weather forecast. So if I click that, you'll see the little weather forecast coming here in the button, right? But in the background, you can see that Aspire shows me the tracing right here. So it shows me if I drill down in here, like, hey, the MAUI app initiated this request, and the first time took a little bit long. It took more than a second. And then the response was just super fast, right? And then I can drill into that. I can get all the details here, HP 200 through the dev tunnel, right? You can see it replace that. It's going through the dev tunnel. You can get all the context, all the things, also for the response, everything. And then whenever I do it again, you'll see that it goes much faster, and you can see all these responses coming in is what it should do. There, it's refreshed. And also the structured logging, right? So whenever you have logging set up in your MAUI app, you'll get all the logging in here. You can already see like I'll zoom out here a little bit. Also, all the requests are logged here, right? With like, hey, started, ended, with like some execution strategy, blah, blah, blah. Everything's in here. If you have your own logging set up right now, that should show up here automatically too from your MAUI app. So if you do like logger I don't know, add warning, what's the right API? It escapes me right now, but it will show up here as well. And what is a really cool thing is, we mentioned it briefly earlier, is that we're also investing to adding more diagnostics in the .NET MAUI SDK. So I think one of the first things we did is like, hey, measure override for our scroll view. So whenever your scroll view is doing something weird, it's like, hey, this is not great. It's laying out like multiple times, or it's taking super long. That's something that we're going to emit from the .NET MAUI code base. You have to enable it, right? Also, this is stuff that you don't want to have in your production app, probably. So you do want to enable it. Else, if you don't do that, it's going to be linked out. It's going to be optimized. It's not going to show up in your production app. But if you do, you can see here these screenshots. You can see like, hey, how long does this measure take? And we have much more plans for this. For like, hey, something that you don't want to do is put your collection view in a stack view, because that will cause like an infinite collection view to measure up kind of like beyond the viewport. Again, I'm going out of the thing here. That's the theme of today. So it will go endlessly eating into your performance. So that's not what you want. And there's two things that we can do now. We have the XAML source generation, on which we can add an analyzer to say, don't do this at design time. You will get notified. If you still manage to do it, your Aspire dashboard will tell you, this is not great, don't do it. And then you can ask Copilot in the Aspire dashboard why you shouldn't do it, how to fix it, and it all comes together. So, you can enable this. This is what we're investing in. Of course, like the Aspire dashboard is only kind of like one sync. You can hook it up to other things if that's what you want. It's kind of like all open standards, open telemetry. You can hook it up to whatever is your liking. But of course, like .NET Aspire, .NET MAUI, we're in the same corner. We know each other pretty well. They stole Maddie from us. We're still sad. No, I'm kidding. So, we're not sad. They did steal it. So, we're all together. We're all working together on this. And this is just the great experience here. Did I forget anything? I think we're coming up on time. Was this clear?
Looks really, really good.
Thank you.
Can I share one thing before the guy cuts my internet off?
Yeah. Quickly.
I need to remove you first, and then I can do this. All right. So I wanted to go back and show the debug overlay thing. So the original thing was just the ribbon like that in the lower right hand corner to be able, or any corner, you can position it anywhere you want to be able to say, hey, it's a debug app, or you can put whatever words you want in there. It's like the fun version of the app. Now, when you click on it, you get an overlay, and it's a bit horsey, but it's something we can improve upon. And then you can come in here and you can look at the visual tree, the hierarchy of your application, and get some basic information about it. It's not going to give you absolutely everything, but it'll give you stuff. And then you can scroll using basically some buttons because it's all graphics drawn, so there's no real actual scroll surface. But that's something that could be improved. Now, what Van Crester and folks did was add this performance view. So this is what caught my attention in the Mauiverse, and I was like, hey, we should like join forces and do all this stuff together. And so this sample lets you basically, you can position this wherever you want to, and then you can do things like this, throw some stuff on the screen, see how it impacts the performance numbers. You can start some CPU load, see what that does to it. You can add a bunch of memory stuff to it and see the actual memory numbers move, etc. And then it has a minimized view as well as a maximized view, and you can toggle it to the corners. And then in some environments, whoops, not this one. In some environments, you can actually position it wherever you want it to be. So that is what I wanted to show because it's super cool, and I think it could be useful to a lot of apps. All right, we're at time. Parting words of wisdom, Gerald?
No. No.
Go use Visual Studio 2026. Go use RC1. Ooh,
yes.
Ooh, the one thing I didn't tell you to go do was go turn on Android Core CLR. Go turn it on. Use it. Tell us how it works with your applications, because we've tested it on our samples and things like that. But you turn off the mono, turn off mono using what's in the release notes, and then that will use Core CLR for your Android apps. Tell us how it goes. Tell us what doesn't work, so that we can improve that thing. Because coming up to NET 11, we're all in on Core CLR, and native AOT is kind of where we want to be.
Yep.
So please do let us know. You should see changes to your app size, changes to your performance, hopefully going in positive directions.
Yeah.
But if they're going in the wrong directions or unacceptable directions, we need to know. So please do let us know about that. Cool. Well, thanks, Gerald.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Absolutely. Next time from Prague with who knows?
Right. Yeah, we're going to have to do it from Prague.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be there. Exactly. So it'll be super fun. We'll have to figure out the time zone situation.
What do you mean? It's my time zone. Is this time?
That's true. What time is it there?
We started at 7 p.m. So that should be early dinner, then or during dinner.
So that if it's the Thursday, then that the preview that I gave, the teaser for the preview for the thing,
is
at the same time. So we could do a live community stand-up with people in the room, a live audience.
Oh, you weren't talking. Oh, now I'm curious what the preview, what the thing is that you gave a pre. You have to tell me right after this. I
I
thought
mean,
you meant this live
it's
stream.
basically
Okay.
just like a community, meetup.
Oh,
But we
nice.
could do it from the Microsoft office with a
There
live
we go.
audience.
There we go. Amazing.
Dude,
You'll
this
get
is
like
gonna be
cheers.
crazy.
It will be great. We'll have a live audience. We will have someone who will actually laugh at our jokes. We will have to pay them, but they will laugh at our jokes. It's going to be amazing.
This is true. This is true. It
We'll have a
might break
laugh
my
track.
spirit, but all right. Gotta go. They're
This is a
gonna
one-off.
cut
Yeah,
off my
this was a
internet
one-off. We're a week later than we typically are because we
this
canceled
time.
last
Yeah.
because there was so much stuff going on. Next time it's going to be like the first Thursday of every month.
Yes.
That's typically what we do.
Back on
See
schedule.
you then for October.
Great. Thanks, Gerald. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we will catch you from Prague. Bye.